درود everybody, this is Dr. Al in Australia. توی فارسی اصطلاح خیلی جالب داریم که میگیم خیر سرمون با این شانسمون، خیر سرمون با این رژیممون، خیر سرمون با این مربی جدیدمون، خیر سرمون با این شام رمانتیکمون و توی انگلیسی معادلشو میگن so much for our, so much for our, so much for our, like so much for our luck, so much for our trip, so much for our romantic dinner, so much for our diet,
so much for our first tour,
so much for our last family breakfast,
so much for our great road trip to San Diego, Bob.
So much for our game face, huh?
So much for our ballsy opening.
so much for our big plans,
So much for our VIP status.
So much for our easy flight to Europe.
so much for our trip to the Caribbean, baby.
So much for our chance.
So much for our Sunday together.
So much for our fine evenings.
So much for our precious regime.
So much for our new coach.
So much for our relaxing breakfast.
So much for our plans.
توی کامنت ها برام بنویسید so much for our what. خیر سرمون با این stay with me.
And where down we